Today's adventure takes us to the south side of Chicago and to Oakwood Cemetery. This cemetery is absolutely incredible. Over 65,000 graves, still active. Has the who's who of Chicago here. We have mayors, we have sports athletes, we have Olympians, we have, you name it, a lot of people in this cemetery. So we're just going to do a general walk through the cemetery, look at some of these amazing monuments, and see if we can find some of these people today. So come join me as we explore Oakwood Cemetery. Okay guys, we are entering Oakwood Cemetery, and this is just beautiful. I don't know if video can really capture how beautiful this is, but what a beautiful cemetery. And this stone here just caught my attention. It just about 10 feet high. Wow. Karl's the name on that. It is in German, 1821 to 1880. German does not surprise me. A lot of German influence in the Chicago area back in the 1800s. But this reminds me, especially with the old Gothic looking church in the background, this reminds me of something that would be in England, not in Chicago, Illinois. Let's take a look at a couple of these. Now this one here we're not going to see much on. That one's pretty well worn. Here's a Celtic cross, it looks like, from the side here. Yep. Let's take a look at this one. Griswold's the name. I don't think it's Clark. For movie buffs, old movie buffs, you know what that reference is. But what a beautiful, intricately designed tombstone. I mean, just look at this design here. I mean, that is just, it's almost like a rope that's just a knotted up kind of. Just beautiful. The amount of time that went into that must have just been astounding. Yeah, this is one of those cemeteries I could spend a lot of time in. Beautiful old stone, hard to read. This, I'm sure, is an angel, although it's weathered and it kind of looks like the Mothman or an alien, but I'm sure that's not what the intentions were when it was first designed. These are some beautiful stones. Just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. All right, let's look at some of these obelisks over here. Okay, we're at this obelisk that is a good 30 feet tall. Massive obelisk. Just beautiful. The R. Excel family. Robert Excel, and there's Emily, his wife. Died in 1872. Just gorgeous. Let's see if we can find, we have another obelisk here that is probably just as tall. This is Peacock. Unbelievable, really. Up there, right through the branches of the trees. Let's cross the street here. We have some really cool looking tombstones over here that I want to check out. More obelisks. Look at that. Sarah. Beautiful old one. And that must be Sarah's husband. Wow. We have the Campbell family here. Nice marble obelisk. Willard Myrick here. His wife Jane. Absolutely beautiful. This one caught my eye. McClure. Died 1851. James. And it looks like Robert. Died 1863. I mean, just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, let's go and look at some other things that I would like to find in this cemetery. This cemetery is so big, it's going to take a little while. Came across this near the entrance, relic of the Chicago fire, October 1871. And then there's a pile of, looks like probably molten metal here. For those unfamiliar with the Chicago fire, it started on the southwest side of Chicago and burned the vast majority of Chicago back then because it was wood structures. So there's some relics of the old Chicago fire. What a beautiful stone here. Oscar Spindler. No other information on there. I assume that is Mr. Spindler there. Just beautiful. I haven't even, the cemetery has many sections. I haven't even left the first section yet. Before I do that, look at this. I have never seen, they call a Zinke metal monument so large. This is the largest one I've ever seen. It's a good 12 to 15 feet high. There we have the American Bronze Company, very well known around here for these types of monuments. Look at that. William W., son of Benjamin and Caroline Newman. 1862, died 1863. Only 1 year old. What a shame. What a fantastic monument to that little boy. And here we have, I have never seen anything like this either out of the metal. Look at that. Benjamin Newman, 1817 to 1880. Let me back up here so you get the full glimpse of this gorgeous monument. All right, let's go over to this mausoleum. Hoxie's the name, Hoxie, 1886 on the front. What a beautiful mausoleum. It is bricked in, which means the family, the descendants of the family are no longer alive. And so then they just brick it in. But that is just beautiful. Even the window is bricked in. What an absolutely beautiful mausoleum. We've got one right next to this one. And there's mausoleums all over the place in here. James Oakley is the name. Another beautiful mausoleum. As we continue to walk. Van Higgins on this one. I don't know if you could see that ornamental crown on the top. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Sure I can, why not? It's gonna jump quickly. No, it didn't jump quickly. Look at that. Just beautiful. Let's see. Died 1893, April 7th, 1893. What a beautiful monument. I am moving kind of fast through here, guys, because, well, the cemetery is huge. So let me get up to those mausoleums up there, and I'll be back. All right, almost up to the mausoleums. It is a beautiful, well, day. It is New Year's Day today as I'm recording this. 2023, January 1st. It's about 45 degrees Fahrenheit here. Cloudy. Rained a little bit this morning, foggy. But aside from that, it's a very nice day. McCarthy's a name here. Six crypts inside. A little hard to see. I see a Clarence McCarthy in there. Anne McCarthy. I do have to go check out this one over here with the cannon. Which reminds me, one of the things we're going to check out is the Confederate Monument, and I'll tell you that story once we get there. But man, look at that. That is something. Big wheel. Wow, what's on the other side? That is really something. Sacred to the memory of Cale Kramer, who lost his life by saving the train at York, Indiana, July 27th, 1877, age 37. I have no idea what that means, guys. Look at that train. I'm going to have to do a little research on that and see if I could figure out what happened there. But that is incredible. I wonder if these represented parts of the train. I thought it was a cannon when I first came here because that looks like a cannon on the top. But these might be parts of a train. That could be a train wheel. As a matter of fact, it is a train wheel because you could even see the lip here where it goes onto the track. Very interesting. I love that monument. I will have to look into that a little bit more. The Heinz Mausoleum. I'm not going to look in all these because I'll be here until next week. McCartney on that side. Cone on this one. I mean, this mausoleum, well, it looks like a bank with the columns on either side. Fortunately, I don't believe we're going to see in that one. No, but it looks like there's 6, possibly 8 tombs in there. CM favorite. Wow. All right, let's go And we could be here all day. This one's interesting. Let me just take a quick look at this one. BAK Steel, 1898. That is a beautiful, beautiful mausoleum there. So a little interesting story about this cemetery as I'm taking this walk here. This cemetery, when it was first, so we had the city cemetery, which was actually downtown Chicago. I believe it was in Lincoln Park. They moved all those graves out of there to this cemetery here. And this cemetery was not part of Chicago at the time. All right, let me go back. If you don't want to see my face, let's watch the mausoleums. And at the time, this was not part of Chicago. I mean, this was far south of Chicago. But now it is part of Chicago. So it's interesting how they moved all the graves from City Cemetery in Lincoln Park to this cemetery here, because they figured it was far enough south and out of the city that it wouldn't affect anything. But then this is kind of like the middle of the south side of Chicago now. They had no idea how much Chicago would expand. And I had no idea a mausoleum like this would be here. Strayhorn's the name on this, 1883. This is the architecture on this is just fabulous. Limestone. But look at the detail in that. You know, unfortunately, it is decaying slowly. There's the lock. I bet that key's long gone. What a massive mausoleum. Just beautiful. Absolutely stunning. There's another one over here I wanted to show you. Well, this is interesting. We have the Celtic cross here, right in the middle of these bushes, with cherub faces on it. Very interesting. Look at this, guys. Another impressive mausoleum. C.W. Smith is the name. So what I decided to do with this cemetery, rather than because to research a cemetery this size, you know, I would need a team of people, and I'm not, you know, other channels that have people pitching in and working and helping with videos and production and all that stuff. It's just me. So I decided I'm just going to do a walk and see what we come up with. Okay, here we are coming up to the Confederate Mound. And this monument honors those Confederate soldiers that are buried here. And you might ask, well, you're in Chicago, you're in Union territory. Why are there Confederate soldiers buried here? Well, and you could read this for yourself, but Camp Douglas. We focus on that. Camp Douglas was a Union training camp on the south side of Chicago, several miles north of here. And then as the war progressed, the Civil War, it became a prisoner camp for the Confederacy. The monument was built in 1895. And you could read that there. You can pause the video and read that. So what happened was many Confederate soldiers died in Camp Douglas. The conditions were horrendous. Winters were harsh. Disease was rampant. And these soldiers were buried in mass graves near the city cemetery, which I mentioned earlier in Lincoln Park area. And they estimate that between 4,000 and 6,000 Confederate soldiers died at Camp Douglas. And a little over 4,000, I think they said 4,200, are now buried here in mass graves at this site. And what happened was, and this is a little morbid, I suppose, bodies were buried close to Lake Michigan, and erosion over time, because the city cemetery was right along the lake at one time, and erosion over time, they believed there were a lot of bodies that washed out into the lake. The names of all of these Civil War soldiers that died at Camp Douglas. Unbelievable. I mean, to think that over 4,000 soldiers are buried right here. Here's a little story. I haven't seen this. The Confederate dead here buried in concentric trenches were all private soldiers. The monument's 40 feet tall, erected in 1893. That's amazing. It's very sobering to think that. I'm happy they built this monument. These guys were still Americans, even though they were fighting for the wrong cause. They were still Americans. Look at this beautiful cannon. Look at that. SCL, I don't know what that stands for. Maybe somebody does. Number 845. 816 pounds, 1865. That is really cool. That is really cool, guys. Wow. That is quite a cannon for the time, anyways. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. What an absolutely incredible cemetery this is. I cannot even put it into words. Now, one of the things I wanted to do today was find some graves of some well-known people. This cemetery is so vast that I decided not to do that today. Instead, I decided to check out some of these wonderful mausoleums, these obelisks. This monument behind me, which just is a sobering reality to the tragedy of war. It's just, it's really incredible. So thank you again for watching my channel. If you like this video, give me the thumbs up. If you like my content, please subscribe. And until next time, keep exploring.